And Diddy claimed that somebody held a knife to his throat. He woke up and this guy basically had him, and he had the knife, and Diddy was at this person's mercy. Now, it's unclear what exactly happened from there. Was there a guard that came in? Did Diddy somehow fight this person off? Well, seems unlikely that happened. Or did the person just leave? Bottom line, this guy, at least according to people close to Diddy and Diddy himself, could have hurt him badly or even taken his life.
It starts with disbelief and ends with accusation. Within a single weekend, Sean Diddy Combs' fragile story of survival behind bars has turned into a potential legal nightmare. His lawyers insist he was attacked by another inmate inside MDC Brooklyn. They even described a guard stepping in to stop the assault. But 50 Cent, never one to hold back, claims the entire incident was fabricated, a stunt designed to manipulate the system and sway a sympathetic judge. And that claim matters more than anyone first realized because the same judge, Aaron Subramanian, has a reputation for punishing dishonesty as harshly as the original offense.
Prosecutors, on the other hand, said Diddy was not sorry and that his apology was phony and that there was some serious harm done to the victims of this case. Like you said, they wanted a sentence of at least 11 years. Ultimately, we know a sentence has now been shared with the court of 4 years behind bars for Sean Diddy Combs.
We've seen this play out before. A public figure tries to appear broken, humbled, desperate for redemption. Diddy's team painted that image all through October, calling his confinement inhumane, begging for a transfer to a safer, low-security facility in New Jersey. But now, the story they built is collapsing. If 50 Cent's allegations prove true, Diddy's plea for mercy could be recast as an attempt to mislead a federal court. For a man already convicted and sentenced, that kind of deception is not a scandal. It's a potential sentence extender.
Diddy, obviously just starting out his time, well, not just starting out, but starting out his official sentence since being sentenced not too long ago. And I think suffice to say, it's not going well so far.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, he's got 4 years and change that he's going to ultimately have to serve, although he has served already a year as he awaited his trial and then went through his trial. So,
according to Diddy's lawyers, the attack happened late one night in his dorm-style unit at MDC. They told the court a guard saved his life when a shiv-carrying inmate crept into his cell. Days later, longtime friend Charlucci Finney doubled down on the story, telling the Daily Mail that Diddy woke up with a knife pressed to his throat. He described the moment as seconds from disaster. The account spread quickly across tabloids and talk shows, shaping Diddy as a vulnerable celebrity lost in a violent federal maze. But 50 Cent saw something else. On his Instagram feed, he called it fake, mocking Diddy for, in his words, snitching from the cell. Within hours, screenshots of the post flooded X and TikTok, forcing reporters to revisit whether any official documentation of an assault actually existed.
He sort of talked to me about the schedule for the day. He explained the important rules. He explained count time because they have to, look, the jail's main two things. They can't lose you and they can't kill you. So they have to, count you, and they count you twice a day, actually 3 times a day.
You go to your bunk?
Yeah, you go to your bunk. At night, they'll come, you can be laying down. And in the morning, you can be laying down, but once a day, twice a day.
So far, none has surfaced. Bureau of Prisons officials have not confirmed a single incident report matching that description. And that silence is fueling a new theory inside the courthouse. That Diddy's lawyers embellished the story to strengthen their request for transfer to FCI Fort Dix, a facility known for its rehab programs and family-friendly visiting conditions. What makes this more dangerous is timing. Judge Subramanian still has authority over Diddy's sentence recommendations. He can endorse the transfer or block it with one signature. And if he believes the court was misled, sources close to the defense admit he could go further, citing obstruction or false representation during post-trial proceedings. To understand how precarious this has become, we have to trace the last few months. Diddy's conviction came in July 2025 after a 9-week trial that shocked even veteran court reporters. By October 3rd, he was formally sentenced to 50 months in federal custody and fined $500,000. At that hearing, Subramanian called his actions savage abuse and dismissed pleas that he had already suffered enough. Yet, he left a window open, saying Diddy could petition for a facility closer to family if he demonstrated truthful cooperation. That phrase now reads like foreshadowing.
If the
In
judge,
October, right.
In October, October 3rd, if the judge denies bail, then Trump is going to make a decision possibly immediately thereafter.
Most likely, the judge is going to, based on
I don't know.
previous decisions, it feels like the judge is going to deny bail.
I don't know.
Then came the rumors of a presidential pardon. In early November, TMZ and other outlets reported that former President Trump had privately considered commuting Diddy's sentence after a personal appeal. Hours later, the White House flatly denied it. The fallout was brutal. Diddy looked desperate, out of allies, and publicly embarrassed. By mid-month, Finney's story about a knife attack began circulating, almost as if it were meant to restore sympathy. Within days, Diddy's attorney Brian Steele referenced it in filings, describing the prison as a threat to his client's safety. But insiders at the Bureau of Prisons say no guard matched the name provided by the defense, and no inmate was disciplined that week for assault.
They once worked together a long time ago. They're not friends now. They don't like each other. And yeah, 50 has taken every shot, especially when Diddy has been down.
That gap in records is where 50 Cent stepped in. Behind the sarcasm and memes, he hinted that the attack was manufactured to delay Diddy's transfer review and generate emotional headlines before the appeal cutoff. Coming from anyone else, it might sound like trolling, but 50 Cent's knowledge of Diddy's legal orbit runs deep. He's already producing a streaming documentary on the case, and his sources include former employees who testified at trial. When he calls the story fake, people listen, not because he's credible by default, but because the timing matches the internal delays that defense filings created. Meanwhile, Diddy's team continues to push the narrative of suffering. Letters from his attorneys describe MDC as overcrowded, unsanitary, and psychologically destructive. They argue that transferring him to Fort Dix would allow access to the residential substance program, a move that could shorten his release date by nearly a year. But that request relies on one key claim: that Diddy faces ongoing threats at MDC. If the assault never happened, that argument collapses instantly. According to one former federal prosecutor we spoke with, submitting false safety claims to the Bureau of Prisons is viewed as obstruction, and judges do not take it lightly. We can already sense tension inside Diddy's camp. Sources say his public relations advisor wanted to retract Finney's interview after 50 Cent's post, fearing the contradiction could reach the court record. Finney refused, telling reporters he stood by his words. The defense has since gone silent, neither confirming nor denying the authenticity of the incident. Even so, whispers inside the legal community suggest that prosecutors have started reviewing Diddy's correspondence from that period, looking for inconsistencies between his private communications and public statements.
So why should I care? He did a whole lot to a whole lot of people, and now he's paying for it. So all these cats, I guess y'all get y'all visitation rights. Some of y'all can get y'all conjugal visits right with him.
The irony is crushing. Diddy's entire pitch for leniency is built on the image of reform. A remorseful father teaching business courses to inmates, mentoring younger men, and staying peaceful. His October letter to the judge described himself as committed to becoming a non-violent and constructive citizen. Now that very letter could be evidence of manipulation if the assault claim proves false. Every plea, every apology suddenly looks strategic rather than sincere. Judge Subramanian's record only raises the stakes. In previous high-profile cases, he has penalized defendants for lying under oath or even exaggerating hardship in sentencing memoranda. Insiders describe him as unforgiving toward narrative distortions. If he concludes Diddy's team misrepresented facts, he could recommend disciplinary sanctions or refuse to endorse any transfer at all, forcing Diddy to remain in MDC until 2028. And with reports of maggot-infested meals, violence, and crumbling infrastructure at that facility, the prospect of staying there is not symbolic. It's punishment. Behind the scenes, federal officials are said to be quietly verifying the timeline of Diddy's alleged assault. One insider familiar with the Bureau's internal log system told us, every inmate movement, Every medical visit, every incident call is documented. If nothing matches, the judge will know. The investigation may already be underway, and if inconsistencies appear, Subramanian could issue an order demanding sworn clarification from Diddy's attorneys. That would expose them to legal risk as well, something no celebrity lawyer wants.
That specifically, he said, quote, a history of good works can't wash away the record. He pointed out that two of Diddy's accusers and former girlfriends, Cassie Ventura and a woman who testified under the pseudonym Jane, he talked about their testimony specifically. The judge pointing out that after Diddy publicly apologized for the leaked video of him assaulting Cassie, that Diddy assaulted his current girlfriend, Jane.
For 50 Cent, the controversy is vindication. After years of warning that Diddy moves in shadows, this moment gives him ammunition. His social posts may read like mockery, but they're reshaping public opinion, turning what looked like a victim narrative into another chapter of deceit. And for a judge weighing credibility, public perception can influence tone. If the court senses a pattern of manipulation, Diddy's efforts to regain freedom could backfire entirely.
Your judge was speaking about all that. So now, if he's doing that, and the judge is saying all of the stuff that he did that was wrong, what else? Having security take people, put them up in abandoned buildings and threaten them. The judge had all that information.
Now, the courtroom buzz has shifted from sympathy to suspicion. Commentators on legal panels ask how far the story will go, whether prosecutors might treat the false assault narrative as interference with the Bureau of Prisons. Rumors are swirling that the judge has already asked for supplemental documentation from the warden's office. None of this is confirmed, but in a case already dripping with scandal, even silence feels like movement. Because if Subramanian believes he's been misled once, there's no reason to believe he'll be lenient again. And the real question is what happens when a judge who has already called you a predator realizes you may have tried to manipulate his courtroom. Inside federal custody, stories like Diddy's rarely end well when truth begins to unravel. We've seen this pattern before. Celebrities or high-profile inmates spinning a tale to earn leniency, only to face harsher punishment when the illusion collapses. False assault claims in prison settings can trigger disciplinary hearings, revocations of good time credits, even fresh charges for misleading officials. And if that fabrication reaches a federal judge, it crosses into territory that can add years to a sentence. It's a gamble that only the desperate take, and that's exactly what this now looks like. A desperate roll of the dice that may cost Diddy the very thing he was trying to save, his freedom.
So he got off like a fat rat in a cheese factory. But for a dude like Diddy going to jail and spending all that time, you know, I'm not saying it's going to be rough or nothing like that, because his former president of Bad Boy, Kirk Burrows, with the federal jail. You understand? Lil' Kim with the federal jail.
In recent cases, inmates who falsified injuries or incidents of violence to gain transfers were later charged with perjury or obstruction. Judges have treated it as an attack on the integrity of the system itself. For Diddy, whose conviction already made him a national headline, the stakes couldn't be higher. If the Bureau of Prisons verifies that no such assault ever occurred, Subramanian could interpret it as a calculated attempt to sway the court through sympathy. And for a man already fined $500,000 and serving nearly 4 years, the addition of even 12 more months would send a powerful message that celebrity doesn't bend the law, it only magnifies it. We can sense how the silence around him has deepened. Jay-Z, once his closest ally in public and business, has vanished from the conversation. No posts, no statements, no show of solidarity. The same industry veterans who once attended his lavish parties are now keeping a studied distance. Insiders whisper that several corporate partners have quietly withdrawn from projects linked to his name, erasing promotional content and halting merchandise sales. It feels as though Diddy has become radioactive, someone whose proximity alone could taint reputations. And behind that silence lurks a question we can't ignore. Do his former friends know something we don't?
Walked away, got no money.
Got nothing.
Over.
And Jay-Z celebrated that, the fact that
We should say, and it was filed by the lawyer who has filed a slew of lawsuits against.
Industry analysts point out that the moment 50 Cent called the prison attack story fake, social media turned into a courtroom of its own. The mockery spread faster than the original allegation. What might have been seen as a cry for help quickly transformed into another scandal, this time about deception. And without a single celebrity publicly defending him, the optics are disastrous. When even Jay-Z, the man who once stood on stage calling him family, keeps quiet, it signals isolation at the top. Whether out of caution or disapproval, that silence speaks louder than any press release. Meanwhile, Diddy's lawyers appear to be retreating behind closed doors. Sources close to the defense claim internal disagreements have erupted over how to handle the assault narrative. One insider described their mood as tense and exhausted, suggesting that what began as a crisis control strategy has turned into damage limitation. None of them will comment on 50 Cent's accusations, and their refusal only fuels more speculation that the team may have realized the danger too late. If they retract the claim now, it could be viewed as an admission of dishonesty. If they double down, they risk inflaming a judge who already condemned their client's behavior as predatory. We've watched Diddy shift from commanding mogul to pleading defendant, and now to something stranger, a man trapped between two realities. On one hand, his supporters insist he's the victim of a broken system. On the other, the record shows a convicted offender whose credibility is eroding by the day. Every new rumor adds weight to the idea that his empire, built on charm and control, is crumbling from the inside. He once ruled the charts and the boardrooms. Now, his empire is a stack of appeals, filings, and unverified claims being dissected by journalists and YouTubers alike.
So these are fluorescent lights.
Yeah.
And you're sleeping in that light. What was the first night there?
First night was very intense. Again, I'm, coming down off, and by that time, the second time I went in, between the two times I'd gotten a terrible concussion.
And there's more at play than reputation. If this alleged fabrication prompts formal review, Diddy could lose eligibility for the very programs that might reduce his time. The residential substance course he's hoping to enter at Fort Dix is reserved for inmates with clean disciplinary records. A confirmed lie could make him ineligible altogether, locking him inside MDC until late 2028 or longer. Federal consultants note that even one infraction can erase months of credit. In that light, this false attack narrative isn't just a PR disaster, it's a direct threat to his timeline for release. The psychological toll seems visible. Reports from court sketch artists describe him looking thinner, almost drained, a shadow of the exuberant performer he once was. The transformation has become its own spectacle, an icon reduced to gray stubble and court-issued sweatshirts, staring at a judge who no longer believes him. We can only imagine what goes through his mind as headlines question his every word. Behind those steel walls, perception can become reality fast, and the moment credibility breaks, even allies inside the system stop listening.
He got caught with drugs, never got charged with the drugs, and the judge knew that. That's why the judge said relevant conduct. You understand? He got caught with guns. Guns in the house with the serial number. The judge knew that. You understand?
Now, the talk inside entertainment circles isn't about whether Diddy will make a comeback. It's about whether he'll make it out without new charges. Lawyers connected to similar cases warn that if the court decides to hold an evidentiary hearing, everyone involved in spreading the prison attack story could be subpoenaed, including Finney and possibly members of Diddy's legal team. That would turn a scandal into a procedural nightmare, reopening wounds from a trial that the public only recently stopped watching. We stand at a point where one question defines everything. Was the assault story a misunderstanding born from chaos, or a deliberate deception meant to manipulate justice? The answer could decide not just how long Diddy stays behind bars, but how history remembers him. Because for a man once synonymous with control, power, and spectacle, losing credibility is worse than losing freedom. It's losing the script of his own life. So where does that leave us now? with a mogul cornered by his own contradictions, an enemy who's finally found the soft spot, and a judge rumored to be reviewing every claim under a microscope. Diddy's freedom was already hanging by a thread. Now, his own words might be the scissors that cut it, leaving him alone in a system that has no mercy for liars. What do you think? Was this all a desperate attempt to win sympathy, or could there be more we haven't seen yet? Drop your thoughts below, because this story isn't done unfolding. Until next time, stay tuned, stay curious, and remember, truth in this business always finds its way to the surface.